They were there Tuesday. The little boats were only about that big. So what? Oh, come on, let's go swimming. It'll be too cold soon. I don't feel like it. You can go.
What's the matter, Richie? Got a stomachache?
No, it's my birds. They're gone, even the little ones.
Of course they have, but they'll be back in the spring. You'll see.
¿Qué te pasa, Che? ¿Qué te pasa, Che? ¡Se ha vuelto loco! ¡No! ¡Quiero que se vayan las golondrinas! Pues usted quería todo lo contrario. No dejamos arrimarse a nadie. Es que va a venir el pajareo. Y si se agarra, se llevará por corrientes para venderlas. Yo no quiero que nadie jale mis pájaros. ¿Tus pájaros? Estás loco vos.
En los Estados Unidos, Teddy afirma que los pájaros son suyos y en la Argentina, Juan asegura que son de él. En realidad, los dos tienen razón. Los pájaros salvajes pertenecen a todos, al que les ve volar y a los que escuchan su canto. ¿Quién puede titularse propietario del ánsar canadiense, por ejemplo? Estas aves anidan al oeste de Quebec. Los polluelos dan sus primeros pasos en tierra canadiense y allí también aprenden a nadar en el lago Mistassini. Y un buen día de otoño, guiados por sus padres, emprenden una larga jornada abandonando la tierra natal. Los desolados llanos del río San Lorenzo se deslizan bajo el ritmo de su vuelo. Les ven pasar veloces los bosques tupidos de la región norteña. La formación en V es indicio seguro de que acabó el verano. Al llegar al río Ottawa, que baña la capital del Canadá, la bandada se ha enriquecido con familias enteras incorporadas en el trayecto. Al suroeste de Quebec se unen a estos viajeros otros que han pasado el verano en las márgenes occidentales de la bahía de Hudson. Juntos todos siguen hacia el Atlántico. Ahora vuelan sobre las ricas granjas y los fértiles huertos de Ontario. Pasan bajo sus alas pueblos y ciudades que sustituyen al paisaje rústico del norte. Toronto es un testigo momentáneo de su vuelo admirable. Este río les servirá de guía hasta Detroit. Virando luego hacia el este, pasan por encima de las granjas de Ohio. Y sobre los centros industriales de Pensilvania. La travesía de los montes Apalaches para alcanzar los valles del Shenandoah y del Potomac exige remontar el vuelo a 1500 metros. Cruzando después una parte de Virginia, pasan sobre el Capitolio de Washington. Aquí llega casi a su fin el recorrido de cerca de 2000 kilómetros que estos ánades realizan para pasar los meses del invierno en la bahía de Chesapeake y en las ensenadas del Atlántico. Dos 2000 kilómetros no han sido obstáculo a su vuelo sin fronteras posibles. Las alas de los pájaros representan un pasaporte válido para el mundo entero. Máquinas voladoras perfectas pueden marchar sobre el agua. o planear a más de 80 kilómetros por hora. El quebrantahuesos puede quedarse inmóvil en medio del espacio y caer sobre su presa a 160 kilómetros por hora. Si un avión gastase para volar tan poca energía como un ave, no consumiría ni 1 litro de gasolina en 2 horas. El colibrí al volar bate sus alas 75 veces por segundo. Esos golpes de ala no hubieran podido registrarse sin la cámara lenta. El colibrí no pesa más que algunos gramos y mide menos de 8 centímetros desde el pico a la cola. Ha cenido a lo largo de la mitad oriental de Norteamérica y al llegar el otoño se traslada a las costas de Florida en un viaje que es una proeza. En una sola noche atraviesa el Golfo de México, desde Florida a Yucatán, cubriendo a ciegas en 10 horas apenas un recorrido de más de 800 kilómetros. Después, dejando atrás el antiguo reino maya, se dirige a las altiplanicies centroamericanas, bajo cuyo sol pasa el invierno, alimentándose de insectos y de miel. Más emigrantes. Estas golondrinas van en busca también de un invierno templado. Desde Alaska, en un vuelo que dura ya varias semanas, han traspasado el valle del Mississippi, Texas y México. Pero no han recorrido todavía ni siquiera la mitad del camino que ha de llevarlas hasta América del Sur. Pasarán por encima de los templos precolombianos de Yucatán. Tienen que trasponer las montañas de Honduras y Nicaragua, volar sobre los palmares de Panamá, siguiendo el curso del río Orinoco, cruzar las selvas vírgenes de Colombia y Venezuela. Al borde del Amazonas, descansarán una noche junto a otra bandada de gallinetas que viene de Groenlandia. Esta es otra de las 200 especies diferentes que migran hacia el sur. Algunas de estas golondrinas pasarán por encima de los Andes. Y sobre las ciudades de los príncipes incas, pues han elegido las costas del Perú como cuartel de invierno. Pero la mayor parte cruzan el Mato Grosso y Bolivia en busca del río Paraguay. Las hay también que pasan el invierno en los pantanos del Chaco, a más de 11.000 kilómetros del nido en que nacieron. Otras, volando noche y día sin cesar, dejarán tras de sí el río Paraná para alcanzar las pampas argentinas, término de su largo viaje. Unas cuantas, sin embargo, seguirán hasta las planicies de Patagonia. Las aves migratorias cruzan tantos países que no es posible protegerlas eficazmente con medidas aisladas. En ciertos lugares se han instalado refugios, en otros se persigue la caza. Un centro internacional de protección a las aves es el Servicio Norteamericano de Animales Salvajes. Esta organización distribuye todos los años millares de anillos numerados. La colocación del anillo no produce ningún daño. Tal vez un día este ánade aporte nuevos datos sobre la emigración. En algunos lugares se permite a ciertas gentes competentes el uso de trampas de un tipo determinado. La aplicación del anillo requiere manos firmes y suaves a la vez, pues es preciso evitar que el pájaro se hiera. Tratándose de crías, el problema es más difícil todavía. Esta labor de identificación se lleva a cabo desde Alaska hasta México y de un océano al otro. Los números se registran en el campo y más tarde se inscriben en fichas que se envían a Washington. Esas fichas proporcionan nuevos datos que se hacen constar en los archivos donde las aves están clasificadas por especies y según su distribución geográfica. Después, se trazan gráficos que muestran el lugar donde se encuentran las especies. Anualmente se reciben más de 30.000 cartas con informaciones interesantes escritas en todos los idiomas. Algunas aves caen más de una vez en la misma trampa. Se toma el número del anillo y se les suelta de nuevo. Otras caen atrapadas a miles de kilómetros del lugar donde se les colocó el anillo. Muchas informaciones proceden de los cazadores. Hay quien envía a Washington los anillos, pero el número basta para llenar la ficha. Un dispositivo mecánico distribuye las fichas coordinando los datos. De su estudio resulta que las aves siguen 4 grandes rutas migratorias. La del Atlántico es preferida por el herreruelo, el tangará y otros pájaros. Las golondrinas y los tordos, los patos y los gansos siguen la vía del Mississippi. Otras palmípedas eligen el camino central. El derrotero del Pacífico lo utilizan las especies que pasan el verano en el oeste. Sin embargo, no todos los emigrantes siguen esos itinerarios. Ciertos mirlos no hacen más que atravesar algunos estados. En otros casos, la emigración queda limitada a puntos muy cercanos. El gallo del Canadá reduce su viaje a cualquier valle próximo. Otros emigrantes permanecen siempre en tierra. La tringa arenaria no abandona jamás la línea de la costa. Entre los emigrantes pelágicos o que viajan sobre el mar está el ganso de Solán, que se acerca a la costa una vez al año para poner e incubar en los arrecifes. ¿Qué razón hay para que tantos pájaros emprendan anualmente esos largos vuelos de ida y vuelta? El verdadero motivo no se conoce aún. No se sabe por qué se van unos al norte en la época de cría. Ni por qué el cuervo marino tiene que trasladarse a la península del Labrador en busca de pareja, ni Maine. La migración no es por temor al frío, puesto que una de las aves que más lejos emigran es la golondrina ártica. Tampoco puede ser por falta de comida, pues otras golondrinas emigran cuando más abundante es su alimento. Hay una teoría que explica la emigración por el número de horas de luz que necesitan las aves para buscar comida. La ración normal diaria del pájaro carpintero, por ejemplo, es de 3.000 hormigas, que tiene que buscar y almacenar mientras hay luz de día. Y si tiene familia, el problema es más grave. Solo en las latitudes nórdicas son los días de verano suficientemente largos para dejar cumplida la tarea. Hay también quienes asocian el fenómeno migratorio con las glándulas de secreción interna de las aves. En todo caso, las investigaciones continúan, pues esos misterios de la naturaleza son un estímulo constante para los hombres de ciencia.
¡Llévame al mercado! ¡Aquí me burro! ¡Vamos, llévame!
Si no hubieras echado tus pájaros, ahora podías jugar con ellos.
No, no podrían, porque habían volado hacia Norteamérica. Ya deben de estar llegando.
¿Norteamérica? ¿Cómo te falta un tornillo?
Mi papá dice que todos los años se van ahí. Y algún día yo también iré para ver sus nidos.
Lo cierto es que al llegar el mes de marzo, millones de estas aves han recorrido ya la mitad del camino hacia Estados Unidos y el Canadá. Ha llegado el momento de las grandes emigraciones. Como si obedeciesen a un mandato misterioso, parten súbitamente en busca de un sol nuevo que les permita construir sus nidos y reproducirse. Para estos voladores no tienen importancia ciertas líneas que los hombres trazaron, separando naciones y separándose a sí mismos. Los pájaros son libres ciudadanos del mundo. Todas las tierras que pueden abarcar con sus alas les pertenecen, del mismo modo que pertenecen ellos a todos los pueblos que las habitan. El que los ve pasar no puede sustraerse a la necesidad de dar una significación a su vuelo. Para unos, estas aves representan el genio viajero. Para otros, simbolizan las fuerzas naturales que el hombre no ha podido dominar. Algunos ven en ellas simplemente el alegre retorno de una nueva primavera. Pero estos vuelos tienen otro significado que cobra ahora su sentido más profundo. Son símbolo de la unidad del hemisferio en el que las fronteras van desapareciendo para dar paso a una cohesión moral y material destinada a defender la libertad de América y con ella la libertad del mundo. Pájaros migratorios, seres libres que volando alto cruzan de polo a polo un continente también libre, garantía y promesa de paz y libertad.
My swallows are back.
Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we just watched Para las Aves no hay Fronteras, which means for the birds there are no borders. Kind of an interesting inter-American affairs film made by the U.S. government, and a lot of those deal with health, but some of those deal with also culture and nature and science. So it's pretty great. I am out of Facebook jail, but what we're doing on Facebook is I'm not using Facebook Live anymore because that seems to be problematic and could just bring everything down. So I am just linking to the YouTube stream. So if the YouTube stream goes down, then woo! It's going to be a lot of scrambling over here at AV Geeks. So anyways, we watch old 16mm films, and today I was going to actually try to show you this, which is a 35mm film. But what is interesting about it, and I'm going to see if we can show this. So behind this is 35mm leader, and then you see the negative is actually perfed out for 16mm. And so if we get a little bit further into this, we'll see that it is unsplit 35 for the Galapagos Darwin's Clues. And this is I'm not sure if this is an inner positive or an inner negative. We didn't get that far, but I was like, oh, I can just put it on the or the scanner and just run it. Well, the problem is that even though it's 35 in width, the perfs are for 16. So they don't mesh with the sprocketed wheels that we have that kind of align things and kind of register when there is a film or when there is a new frame. So that didn't work. And I'll tell you, I'm a little disappointed, but this is AV Geeks, and we learn from disappointments, mostly thanks to films like what we're about to watch. So this is learning from disappointments. Enjoy.
This is Mrs. Carter. Even though she doesn't mean to, she is about to cause many disappointments among the boys and girls in her class. Most of them are hoping for one of the 3 main roles in a history pageant. Ed is one of the boys hoping to be chosen to play George Washington. Francine is one of several girls who want the part of Betsy Ross. And Gary hopes that, of all the boys, he'll be the one chosen to play Benjamin Franklin. Now we'll see whom Mrs. Carter has chosen. Because there are only 3 main roles, there are going to be some disappointments. James will play George Washington, not Ed. Alice will play Betsy Ross, not Francine. And Robert will be Benjamin Franklin, not Gary. So you can be sure that Ed and Francine and Gary are very disappointed. Let's take a picture of them right now. Here we have a picture of disappointment. Disappointment makes us all feel very much the same. Just look at Ed, Francine, and Gary. When we feel disappointed, our faces may look unhappy. Our bodies may slump. We may feel angry, too. Disappointments aren't much fun. But these 3 are almost over their disappointment. In just a few moments, this is the way they look. You see, they've learned how to overcome their disappointments. Let's see how they've learned. Take Ed, for instance. Last week, he had a disappointment. Ed and another boy were racing in the finals for the Junior Bicycle Championship of the school playground. You can be sure that Ed was eager to win. He had won all the preliminary races. If he won this one, he would be champion. But Ed lost the race. What a disappointment that was for Ed. He felt so bad, and angry too. At first, Ed felt that he wanted to get even. He felt like going over and kicking the other boy's bicycle. But would that change the result of the race? Ed also felt that he just wanted to leave. But leaving wouldn't make him feel any better. Because Ed had learned from other disappointments, he knew it would make him feel better if he would show that he could be a good sport. Sometimes this isn't easy to do, but it is one of the things Ed has learned to do that help him overcome disappointments. Ed's good sportsmanship has made him many friends. Ed is a boy who has learned what to do about disappointments. What has Francine learned? One of her worst disappointments happened not long ago in school. Francine overheard Peggy inviting Sue and Mary to a party. A party would be fun. It seemed that Peggy was inviting many of Francine's friends. Francine was sure that she would be invited too. She could picture herself in the dress she would wear. It was a beautiful dress she had worn to a wedding. She was already looking forward to Peggy's party. But by the end of the day at school, Francine still hadn't been invited. She began to wonder until she saw Peggy coming out of school. Now Peggy was going to invite her too. Or was she? No. Francine wasn't going to be invited to Peggy's party. At home, she couldn't keep from crying. Sometimes disappointments can make us feel very unhappy. When Francine's mother heard her crying, she came in to see what was wrong. Francine didn't feel like talking at first, but she usually talked over her problems with her mother. So she told her mother all about Peggy's party. Somehow that seemed to make her feel a little better. She learned that talking to an older person about disappointments is one way of helping you overcome them. And Francine's mother helped her learn something else about facing disappointments. Her mother suggested that she try to think of something else she would enjoy doing the day of Peggy's party. And so, on the day of Peggy's party, Francine and some of her friends got together to listen to records. She learned that when you're disappointed because you can't do what you want to, sometimes a second choice is almost as much fun. And so, another time, when rain spoiled her plans for a picnic, she was disappointed, but not for long, because she spent the afternoon putting in her album some photographs that had been lying loose for a long time. A second choice of something to do helped her feel better. And still another time, when she had to change her plans because of illness, she was happy to read a book. By being able to accept a second choice of something to do, she helped herself overcome the disappointment. Francine has learned from her disappointments how to get over them quickly. How has Gary learned? Several months ago, Gary was sure his parents were going to give him a motion picture camera for his birthday. He had hinted to them that he wanted a camera more than anything else. And then, one day, about a week before his birthday, Gary accidentally saw his present. Ice skates. What a disappointment. Of course, Gary knew he would like to have a pair of ice skates, but he had set his hopes on a movie camera. Probably a movie camera had been too expensive a gift to expect. But perhaps there was some other way to get the camera. Of course, Gary could try to earn enough money to buy the camera himself. He could shovel snow for neighbors, or get a job delivering newspapers. Sometimes you're disappointed because you can't have what you want. But as Gary learned, trying to get the camera, or whatever your goal is, in another way, can help you overcome your disappointment. Yes, Gary has learned from his disappointments, just as the others have. But now, let's go back and see what happens in Mrs. Carter's class. We saw before that Ed, Francine, and Gary were disappointed, but didn't stay that way long, because they have learned from other disappointments. There are some boys and girls in the class, though, who haven't. This boy, like Gary, wanted to be Benjamin Franklin, but being angry won't help him overcome his disappointment. This girl wanted to be Betsy Ross. Will crying help her be chosen for something else? And because this boy, who wanted to be George Washington, can't have the part, he doesn't want to have anything to do with the pageant. He's not being a very good sport. But Ed is. He's congratulating James, who got the part he wanted. And Francine is going to take another part, a good second choice, since she can't have the part she wanted. She's going to be Molly Pitcher. She has learned that second choices are almost as good as first ones. Gary knows there's no use staying disappointed over something he can't change. So he is volunteering to help build sets for the pageant. So we've seen what happens when there are disappointments, and how disappointments can be overcome. Disappointments aren't so bad when you learn to face them. And when you learn to face disappointments, you can learn to overcome them.
A print It was basically a master print. It was so pretty. Never run through a projector. Color was beautiful Kodachrome. Little to no dust. Wow. We've been scanning a bunch of Cornet films, and that was one of the ones in the batch. And some of these have just been really, really beautiful. So there you go. Let's learn about the wild places on the planet, specifically a lily pad pond. Enjoy.
Let's go to a wild place and see what's there. Let's look at some of the things that live together in this wild place. This lily pad pond. It's a warm day in summer, and the pond is calm and quiet. Many plants grow on the banks of the pond. Some provide food for animals that live here. Branches of trees like the willow and the alder shade the bank at the water's edge. Plants called sedges and rushes grow here. Among the plants that grow here on the banks of the pond, many animals live. Birds called reed warblers build their nests here. They'll fly south in autumn, but now, in summer, the little birds are busy. Babies have been born in their nests. Warblers are often hard to find because they stay so close to the trees and bushes around the lily pad pond. They eat tiny insects. At the water's edge, some small mammals, like the water shrew, live in burrows dug out of the mud. They swim underwater in the pond. Their holes in the mud are safe places to care for their babies. Ducks live in the lily pad pond in summer. And here are the lily pads, the leaves of the lily plant. They float on the lily pad pond. The lilies have long, thin roots that grow down into the bottom of the pond and hold the plants in place. The colorful flowers of the lily plant attract insects. Since frogs eat insects, the lily pads are a good place for them to find food. Snails lay their eggs on the bottoms of the lily pads. These mallard ducks are feeding on duckweeds. These tiny plants float on the surface. Duckweeds are the smallest plants that have flowers, but their flowers are almost too small to see. Their tiny roots don't reach the bottom of the pond like water lily roots do. They just hang under the water's surface. The fishing spider can walk on the surface of the water. It catches insects and tiny fish. These young mosquitoes, called larvae, just hatched from their eggs. They hang just below the water's surface. Soon they will change into adults and fly away. Water boatmen spend all their lives on the pond's surface, where they catch flies that fall into the water. Some animals eat other animals. Some eat plants. They're all part of what is called a food web. Many plants and animals live underwater in the deeper parts of the pond. The bubbles are bubbles of oxygen. All green plants give off this gas that animals need. But when plant leaves are underwater, you can see the oxygen bubbles. Fish, like the pike, live here. Underwater plants give them some of the oxygen they need. This spider carries its supply of air down under the water. It builds a large bubble of air there. That lets it stay underwater for a long time. This fish is a perch. It chases and catches a water beetle, but spits it out because the beetle tastes bad. Tiny water fleas are food for many of the larger fish and other animals that live in the pond. All are parts of the food web here. The yellow flowers are parts of plants called bladderworts. Bladderworts have little sacs filled with air. The sacs let the plants float under the surface of the pond without sinking. Bladderworts are unusual plants. They trap and eat insects and other small animals. Dead leaves and other living things that have died drift to the bottom of the pond. They become food for animals like these maggots. There isn't much oxygen at the bottom of the pond. The maggots get the air they need from above the surface through their long tubes that look like tails. Tadpoles also feed down here. This insect is a dragonfly larva. It eats tadpoles and other living things at the bottom of the pond. This snapping turtle attracts a fish and then catches it at the bottom of the pond. The turtle is just one of many living things that make their home here in this wild place. this lily pad pond.
So that was kinescoped. Trying to set this up here. The scanner. I was itching to show something that was on 35, so I've got some footage that I got on eBay, and I feel like that this was for a Schaefer beer commercial. So you'll see me in a second. So just, anyways, yeah. So I think that this was part of a Schaefer beer commercial, and because I have multiple takes on things, and I don't know. I just kind of put this on, and we'll see. It might not be running right. It might be running backwards. Who knows? So here is 35 millimeter oil rig footage, silent. Enjoy. Some people did not like that footage, but some people just ran with it. So in looking at it, were there any clues that you folks saw that the film was running forward? Because I actually had to flip it visually from, it was upside down, I flipped it, and then I realized it was mirrored, so I flipped it again. But was the footage itself running forwards or backwards? Write in the comments what you think. I discovered the answer to it, and we'll talk about that after we watch the story of Taro, Japanese boy. Enjoy.
Harunaraya, Namonaki Yamano, Asagasumi. The little poem says, how beautiful are the mountains, now that spring has come. In the springtime, almost every school child in Japan travels to a place of beauty to know the joy of beholding a mountain or a rushing stream. We think it is very good for children to be always happy, for it is most beautiful to be a child. It is like the springtime. Teruko is a very shy girl, but it is good for Japanese girls to be shy. Inside the rice ball, mother puts always a surprise. Sometimes fish or meat, fruit, or ground beans. Isao is the best reader in the 5th grade. Yoshio does not read so well, but he can sing very loudly. These boys are both called Taro. Both are firstborn to their families. In Japan, the oldest boy is often named Taro. It is of this Taro, Taro Murata, I will tell you. Taro thinks he will be an artist one day. There are many things he says he might be. But I think he will not be an artist. He does not draw well. I know. I am his teacher. After the picnic, this Taro runs home to talk of a day in the mountains. The house of Taro Murata, like most in Japan, is made of unpainted wood. Shoes are never worn inside because we think it is not clean to do so. It is not polite to be late for supper, and politeness is most important to learn. But mother understands that this was a special day and has kept the rice warm. Uncle Ito comes to help when there is much work in the fields. there is no father in this house. It is sad that Taro cannot remember his fine father lost at sea. Noriaki. He is the great true friend of Taro. Noriaki Yamamoto is a student from another island of Japan who lives with the Murata family and attends a small college in this town. For supper, there is rice, which is the main food for the people of Japan. For all meals, there is rice, which we like very much and eat with chopsticks. For supper, there is usually fish too, and vegetables. When crickets sing, good friends study and talk together. One day, Noriaki will leave this place, for it is his great wish to attend a university in Tokyo. Taro talks always of the watch of Noriaki. So much he would like to have such a thing for his own. The father of Noriaki, also gone, received this watch from the emperor for being very brave in war. Noriaki says, "Someday you, Taro, too, will be brave. Someday someone will say, Taro Murata deserves a watch because he has much courage and has done something very hard, very well." After study, friends go to beds prepared by mother. The quilts are put on the tatami, the clean straw mat which covers the floor of Japanese houses. Japanese people do not like much furniture. They prefer to have only space. Tonight, there will be dreams of watches and of universities in Tokyo. In the morning, Taro joins friends on the long walk to school. All children must go to school for at least 9 years. Japan is a very rainy country. We need the rain for the rice, but it makes the streets so muddy. Children like to come early to school to play before classes begin. Baseball is very popular. Only in Japan and in the United States of America is baseball so much enjoyed. Children also play old games like sumo. The boy who pushes the other outside the circle wins. In school also, children do not wear shoes. They leave boots and shoes by the door. They wear instead clean school slippers. In my class, reading comes first. Most of the time in the first 8 years of school is spent in learning to read and write only. All Japanese people learn. All are able to read and write. We read the characters or ideograms from the top to the bottom of the page, starting on the right side and moving to the left side. In writing class, it is necessary first to prepare the ink. The art of character writing is practiced with a brush. Students learn at least 1,800 of the more than 10,000 characters in the Japanese language. The writing must be both clear and beautiful. Each character may be either a word, a group of words, or an idea. This kind of picture writing is called kanji. It was brought to Japan from China 1,400 years ago. In arithmetic class, children learn to use the abacus. We call it soroban. The soroban is used to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. After classes, children stay to clean the school building and grounds. This Taro, he talks more than he works, I think. Some days he runs home too early, but he does not go straight home. I know where he goes, to the temple. There are many beautiful Buddhist temples and Shinto shrines in Japan. Most Japanese follow both the Buddhist and Shinto religions. Taro sometimes makes offerings to the gods. He thanks gods for good mother and true friend Noriaki, and prays that one day he will have a watch, like the watch of Noriaki. "500 years before Christ, the great Lord Buddha founded the Buddhist religion in India. He taught the ways by which people can find peace and happiness in life. Stones in the temple yard stand in memory of departed ancestors. The Daisuke Murata, brave samurai warrior, is a favorite ancestor of Taro. Four Buddhist priests, also ancestors, would look more honorable, I think, in new robes. At home, our Japanese boys are not often asked to work. They work at school, and this, we think, is enough. But spring is a very busy time on a farm, and Taro helps with the chores. The silkworms are fed mulberry leaves several times a day. They are difficult to raise. They must be kept warm and dry, and they are very particular worms. They will eat only fresh, tender mulberry leaves, or they will not eat at all and die. June is the month of the silkworm, and for this month, the worms are kept in the house. When the pile of mulberry branches has reached nearly as high as Taro's head, the worms spin their cocoons of pure silk and are killed. Japanese farmers are very hard-working people. Taro thinks he will not be a farmer. When the rice seedlings have grown taller and stronger, they will be transplanted one by one to the fields which now grow wheat. The wheat must be harvested and the land prepared for the rice before the summer rains begin. Taro brings tea to the fields, to his mother and many relatives who help with the work. In Japan, every foot of land must be used. There are many people to feed, and we have little land. It is because of the many mountains that there is so little land for raising food. We must use even the mountainsides. On Saturday and Sunday, friends have time to walk through the golden fields and green mountains, to talk of Japan, of one day seeing Tokyo, the largest city in the world. Friends talk of what they will be, maybe scientists, or teachers, doctors, or engineers, or maybe shipbuilders. There are many things one might be in an industrial country like Japan. Always Noriaki speaks of going to the university in Tokyo. But Taro does not like to hear of this. The city of Kofu, where Taro lives, looks much like any one of 100 other small cities in Japan. There are open markets which sell fruit and vegetables, department stores, barber shops, hundreds of small shops which sell anything you may wish to buy. There are markets which sell the fish, which is eaten at nearly every meal. The motion pictures are very popular, both Japanese films and American also. Many things enjoyed in America are also enjoyed here. From the hillside of Seven Rocks comes the sound of gunfire. I worry for this boy, Taro Murata, because I know a great sadness will come to him. This friend Noriaki is like a brother and a father for a boy who has no real brother and no father. Soon Noriaki will leave this place, and no longer will there be gunfire on the hillside of Seven Rocks. In the evening, along the narrow streets of the towns and villages, you will see people in kimonos and wooden shoes on their way to the bath. First, wash and rinse. Then sit in the warm bath. Very warm, but too hot for Taro. For Japanese people, a long bath with friends and family each evening is a most happy experience. This day, Noriaki has learned that he will be admitted to the university in Tokyo. And now Taro knows too that friends must part. It is often so that when life brings joy, sadness comes also. I do not know why this is so. It happened one morning in September. Noriaki had said it would be best this way.
Oka-chan, Ni-chan, どこ行った? 兄ちゃんはね、一番の汽車で東京帰ったの。もう帰ってこないって言ってよ。それでNoriakiによろしくって。それでね、これをね、Noriakiに贈り物置いてったよ。
Someday someone will say, Taro Murata deserves a watch because he has much courage, because he has done something very hard, very well.
Pretty great. Yeah, it was Encyclopedia Britannica, and they did a series where they visit kids in other countries. And so this gave you a sense of what it was like. So I have some information about the 35mm film that I showed, and it says Schlitz 977. I don't know. Is that 1977? I don't know. Oil rig. So Schlitz Brewery. This was an ad, or this was raw footage that was shot for a Schlitz ad that I got on eBay. So people voted, or people chimed in. And originally I thought, yes, it was shown forward. We watched it forward, even though I had to flip visually. But no, it was actually shown in reverse accidentally. And how I know is that there's footage of smoke below the platform, or steam below the platform, actually being sucked into the ocean. Instead of coming out of the ocean. So that was my tip-off. And so I'm doing color correction on it right now. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, boy. So, anyways, thanks so much for tuning in. Scott Berger, thank you so much for the coffee. One way you can reward us at AV Geeks is by going to ko-fi.com/avgeeks and buy us some coffee. You can also go to patreon.com/avgeeks and give us a tip. And then if you want to keep watching stuff, or if today's show wasn't satisfying for you, you can go to avgeeks.com, and we have a 24/7 streaming channel that shows old lunch episodes and other stuff. And I randomized the posts on avgeeks.com, so there's lots of different new things that pop up that maybe you've not seen before. So there's a great way to go and support us by just watching those. You can also just hit the like button, the thumbs up button, subscribe, all that stuff. But thanks for tuning in today. Very much appreciate it. Facebook sucks, but we're going to go on it, keep on it, because that's the way we talk about stuff. Hey, if you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm doing a show on Thursday at 7 p.m. at Lump Gallery, The Anatomy of an Adult Tantrum. Wonderful films of people getting mad. So, yeah. So we'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday. Everybody have a great rest of your day. As always, I love films. I hope you do too. But we'll see you soon. Take care.